It's so good, bro. Again, it was horrifying as a kid.
Yeah.
Like I was like, "What is that?" And then obviously Dutch drops the line, and and he lets out that growl, and the mandibles open up, and it was like, "Nope, I don't want that at all, dude. Like that is terrifying."
Hello, friends. I'm Anderson Marchak,
And I'm Ricardo Segura.
and we are the Panel Bros. Welcome to the panel.
Welcome to the panel. Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
This is a podcast that we have been talking about for a while now.
Oh yeah, it was probably since the beginning. At some point, it was like we're
Yes.
gonna get to this movie. It's eventually.
Yeah, for a while. So we're just going to get straight to it here. And there's a reason that we are finally recording this. So we'll let you guys know
Yes.
that in a second. This movie was directed by John McTiernan. It was released June 12th of 1987. So as of this recording, it's late May, early June 2025. We're looking at 38 years that this movie came out now. And still just as iconic as it was when it was first released. Today, the Panel Bros are going to be doing a breakdown for Predator.
Brother, we have been talking about this for a long time, and we knew we were waiting for the perfect opportunity to talk about it. That opportunity is finally here, and we're gonna gush, man. We're gonna praise this movie to high heavens. It's no secret that we are both gigantic fans of this film. 1987, 38 years, man, 38 years, and having rewatched it just so we can go over it and talk about our notes and whatnot, I'm still blown away at how this movie can make me feel in 2025 with everything that we've seen, all the blockbusters over the years. There are certain movies that hit you in a way that others don't, and that you can just feel how special they are. And Predator is one of those films. So I am ecstatic that we're finally going to talk about it.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. Trachtenberg, he directed Prey, and the studio loved it so much. The reception was so great that they greenlit not one, but two Predator movies.
Yep.
And they're both coming out in 2025. So if you're watching this when it's released, this is going to come out the same weekend as, let's see here, the animated one, Predator Killer of Killers. That's going to be in early June 2025. So we'll give some love to Trachtenberg later on about all the stuff he's doing in that universe. But for right now, it's about Mr. John McTiernan and the original Predator movie, so obviously I, like you, too young to see it in the movie theater. I didn't discover it until home watch. And I didn't get to watch the uncut version because, well, the rated R version, because I was too young. So I had to watch it on TV.
Oh, okay. So it's got the edited cuts and everything.
Oh yeah. So I didn't get to watch the actual, rated R version until I was older, which is which is funny, but it's oh man, such a unique movie. That's the word that keeps coming back.
Yes.
Such a unique movie. It falls into so many different genres. We have action, we have sci-fi, we have I guess a little bit of horror too.
Oh, absolutely. Because I'll tell you, man, when I was a kid and I finally got to see it, the first half of this movie, I was like, yeah, okay, this is exactly what I would expect from an Arnold Schwarzenegger action film. And the second half, I was like, no, I'm pretty scared right now. Like, it's got some great horror elements to it. And like you said, it does this great job of like blending that together. For me, the first time I saw it, just like you, it was at home, but it was on a VHS. An older cousin had it, and he was hyping it up to me. Like I mentioned you off the air, he said, you got to see this movie. He knew I was too young, but older cousins, they're like, hey, we're going to put this on for you. So the first time I saw it, I saw the R-rated version. I was not ready for that. Not ready for that. It was horrifying, but I was ecstatic still that I got to see that type of a cool movie. And I have a greater appreciation for it because, this is one of those movies that when you watch when you're younger, you kind of watch it at face value for the surface. It's an action movie. It's a monster movie. It's this, it's that. And then watching it as you get older and you start to really, you know, break it apart and dissect it and see what really made this movie so special. And again, I'm still able to do that in 2025, where I'm watching it this week and I'm kind of like, man, like, just as a movie, from a writing perspective, from the visual effects, from the practicals, all of that, it's like you have such a great appreciation for it as you get older. And I love when movies can do that for you, where you can watch it when you're younger, enjoy it for what it is, and then as you get older, get a whole new perspective on it. And Predator never stops giving back.
That's where I am with the movie. Like I enjoyed it. You know, as I was younger, you know, as a teenager and even in my 20s, I'm like, oh, this is a great movie. And then I kind of got away from it. And I got away from it because the franchise just kept releasing movies. And the word disappointing comes to mind. You know, just these disappointing sequels that could have been so much better than what they were, you know. So, and then you just kept coming back to the original. It's just like, man, nothing beats the original. You know, you just kept coming back to it. And just as my love for film grew even more, I just, you know what, I think this might be one of my favorite movies.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
like this is
Yeah.
so good. So let's just get into this here and let's get started.
Yes.
So we have our opening shot here, and you've mentioned this to me off the air that Predator is one of those movies. I don't know if they have a name for it, but where the movie starts as one thing, but then halfway through it switches and becomes another
Yes.
thing. But they do a little sneaky thing. McTiernan does in the very beginning. You see an extraterrestrial spacecraft deploy a shuttle to Earth, and then it cuts.
Yes. and it's such an interesting choice, right? Because he didn't have to do that.
No.
He could have absolutely just had this surprise later, but the movie does such a great job, and we'll talk about it as the movie progresses. But this movie does a great job of almost making you forget that part, because it's so quick and the title hits, and then you go on this other adventure and you're so invested in these characters and the story that you kind of forget that happened. And it's a testament to the story, because it's kind of in the back of your mind, but it's, you know, out of sight, out of mind, if you will. And then when things start picking up, you're like, oh, wait, that happened earlier. So yeah, it's really cool how they did that.
Yeah, like you forget. You absolutely forget. If it's your first watch, you forget. So we do get a hint of the movie in the opening shot, and this is followed up by the theme and the opening credits. I want to give a shout out to Alan Silvestri for the score.
Yes.
That's a part of what makes this movie so great, just that score.
I have it downloaded. It's on my phone. So like I'll listen to it every once in a while.
So we see the team briefly. They're like in civilian clothes. They get off the chopper, and I'm kind of revealing what happens later on, you know. But we'll talk about that later, you know. So they get off of the helicopter there, and we see the reunion of Dillon and Dutch, and
you already know.
Yep. It's coming.
Already know it's coming. Everybody is well aware of this meme and or GIF.
Yes, there we go.
And there it is, baby. I can't tell you how many times I've used this meme and GIF, and how many times I've seen it. And I love that it's synonymous with the film, like we all know.
Yeah, it's just grown to be even bigger than the movie, so to speak.
I love it. Dillon, you son of a bee. And they hit the and they do the thing.
But then McTiernan zooms in and you see the biceps.
Oh, dude. I'm telling you, listen, this was the 80s, and we're gonna talk about it. This was the 80s. The 80s was all about giant muscular men in action movies and peak physical condition. And they made sure, like, oh, you're gonna see this. And like them boys was flexing.
Yeah, so one of the great lines. By the way, this movie has tons of one-liners, tons.
Yes.
So, you know, you hear Schwarzenegger say, "Dillon, you son of a bee, what's the matter? The CIA got you pushing too many pencils." You know, they do like a mid-air arm wrestling match.
Yes, and like you see Dillon struggling, like he's starting to struggle, and Dutch is having a blast with it.
Sometime later, Dutch and his elite paramilitary rescue team are as follows. We have skilled mercenary Mac, explosive expert Poncho, the macho Blain, expert tracker Billy, and jokester Hawkins. They are tasked with rescuing a local cabinet minister whose helicopter was shot down in a Central American jungle. Dutch's old friend and Vietnam War ally Dillon, who we just met, now is a CIA agent, and he accompanies the team to oversee the mission. So we briefly get to see everybody, no dialogue yet, and sets up the movie. And then now we have them on the helicopter going to the scene, which sets up our next scene here.
Yeah, and what I love about the interaction between Dutch and Dillon at this moment, I should say, is we're starting to get an idea, just a glimpse of who Dutch is, because obviously there's multiple missions that they have been very successful at, and they bring up a mission that Dutch and his team turned down. And Dillon's like, why didn't you go to Libya? Like, why didn't you go? Like, we had this mission, they could have used you. Why didn't you go? And he's like, we're not assassins. And it was a great point. It was a great moment because it's kind of letting us know who Dutch is and what his team is about. And he's like, we're about saving hostages. Like, we're search and rescue. That's pretty much what we are. And I thought that was great that right off the bat, they let us know that these individuals, especially Dutch as a leader, is not a heartless mercenary. Because they very well could have went that route. Like, oh, yeah, I'm a mercenary. I go where you need me to go. But he's like, nope, I don't do jobs like that. You guys need us here to save hostages. That's what we're going to do. So I appreciate they did that for Dutch in that moment.
All right. So we do get to see the team momentarily on the helicopter. That red, like
the red light, red light.
Yeah. That red light there. Yeah.
This sequence has been a lot of movies duplicate this sequence when introducing. A lot of movies do it, especially on aircraft carriers, airplanes, helicopter. We have seen this scene done numerous times, and I do believe it's because of how good this one was in Predator.
Yeah, it's a great way to introduce everybody to the cast and to just kind of get a feel for all the characters. This is where we finally get some dialogue here. We see the helicopters, going to the site, and then we get some great banter between everybody here. I looked it up. Much of so Shane Black plays Hawkins, and his vulgar dialogue, apparently a lot of that was ad-libbed. So,
I believe it.
So that wasn't in the script there. We have Billy's stoic presence. Obviously, we have Jesse Ventura with the chewing tobacco, which he spits on Dillon's boots.
Yeah.
And, Dillon tells him that's a disgusting habit, And then, of course, we have Mac with the razor that we first see. So
yeah, that's his little tick in the movie, like the razor. And like at this point too, they make it aware that like they don't really want Dillon there. Like Dillon's like, oh, I'm going, and Dutch even says it goes, like, me, my team work alone. And Dillon's like, hey man, I got my orders. This is how it's gonna go. So when Blain spits the tobacco on his boot, it's kind of like letting us know as an audience, like, yeah, they're not really about Dillon being there. But I do love the interaction between everybody. I love the dirty jokes that he's telling to the rest of the team, trying to get everybody to laugh, whether it works or it doesn't. So it's a great introduction to these characters.
Yeah, and like in 2025, these types of jokes probably wouldn't fly because we have some misogyny and with some homophobia,
Yeah, like there's stuff in there is like you can't say that today, brother. You can't say that today.
No,
so,
but
absolutely.
But it's a snapshot of the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's a snapshot of that era, in film. So, and society, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So the team find the helicopter wreckage. You see some traces of a neon green substance and traces of guerrilla soldiers, as well as 3 skin corpses hung high in the trees nearby. So Billy suspects something and climbs up to find them. And you can hear what would be revealed as the creature's voice. You hear that briefly, the clicking. And then you get a jump scare when you see the corpses. So, we touched on this already. At this point, it's like I signed up for an action movie. I didn't realize there was going to be a horror movie here with skin bodies and entrails everywhere.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty, man. And it's all practical. So like, you actually have these, these corpses hanging and everything else and entrails. And one thing I appreciate about the scene as well is you have all these really tough characters, right? The movie's letting us know these are very, very tough characters. They're BA in every sense of the word. And you can see how disturbed they are. These are people who have been in war, who have, taken the lives of many people. Right. And to see something this haunting, as an audience member, we're supposed to be like, oh my God, this is horrific. But it was great to have the characters feel that as well. Like this was something they had never seen before. And they're kind of second guessing, like, what did we sign up for? Like, what is going on? Like, why would they do that? Why would the gorillas do that? Doesn't make any sense. So already we're getting this fear element that's added in. And, we haven't even gotten into the jungle yet.
Dutch identifies the corpses as Green Berets and becomes suspicious of Dillon's intentions after learning the helicopter was outfitted for surveillance. So there's already some mistrust there.
Yep.
Billy gets to showing his excellent tracking skills. And they're just leaning on him. Like,
Yes.
What happened here? Oh, it was brutal, and he picks up a handful of shells. And just from that, he starts being able to tell Dutch exactly what happened in the area there. Billy's such a great character in this movie.
I love Billy, and like there's this stoic nature to Billy that as I'm mentioning, everyone is afraid, and he's kind of just stoic. He's absorbing, and he's kind of like we're not able to see it, but like he's laying out everything that happened in his mind. And I love that, like you said, with the bullies, he's able to say, like, think something's really strange, and he's like, what is it? And he goes, they were firing in all directions, like absolutely just firing in all directions, but there's no bodies, there's no blood, there's nothing. And it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like they weren't flanked. They weren't, snuck up on. Like they're literally firing in like a 360 rotation everywhere in the jungle, and they hit nothing. And he's like, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
At this point in time, we start getting the infrared shots. Another iconic portion of this movie. And if this is your first time watching, you have no idea what this is. You're thinking if anything, you're thinking it's the enemy, maybe. Maybe it's the enemy looking at them. You don't know, but you're just getting these flashes. I read somewhere that that sound you hear is a whip cracking every time it switches back and forth between regular and infrared vision. So as they continue forward, Dillon, who clearly is rusty, he trips and falls, the log falls, and then Mac just grabs him. And just another line here, you're ghosting us, mother effer. I don't care who you are back in the world. You give our position up one more time, I'll bleed you real quiet and leave you here. Got that?
Yep, bro. I'm telling you, man, this team is not about Dillon being there, and the fact that he may give away their position, they're not about it. And it does go to show us like how rusty Dillon is. Like Dillon has been working paperwork and desk. That's why they make the joke of like they got you pushing too many pencils, and now he's back in the field, and like he might give away with the position. That can mean the difference in life and death. And I love Mac's character, dude. I love Mac's character. We're gonna get more into Mac.
Yeah. Dutch's team attacks the guerrilla camp, killing the soldiers and their Russian military allies. So we have some great stealth action here. They're cutting tripwires and they're taking them out quietly, stealth style, one by one. Dutch ends up breaking the stealth treatment by picking up and pushing a truck with his bare hands with explosives into a hut, and then starts lobbing grenades and gunfire begins. There's so many explosions. You're either getting lit up or blown up. Either way, you're getting taken out. I think you get that old film trope of the stunt guy covered in flames, from head to toe.
Yeah.
This is also the first time we see Blain using the minigun.
Bro.
And another line here, Dutch, like this scene is just all action.
This scene is everything.
Dutch throws the huge knife, and what does he say?
Stick around. It's so like this was what I envisioned the movie was going to be. Right. We got all these characters, and like they made sure, like, we're gonna show just how BA they are. When Blain has the minigun, the sound that thing makes is unreal, and he just mows to anybody in front of him and takes down part of the jungle. It's absolute insanity. So this action sequence, this was the movie I thought we were coming to see, like, because this is everything about like the 80s action movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these big guys, Jesse the Body Ventura doing their thing, the miniguns mowing people down, everything. And again, they wanted to make sure they showed us how strong Dutch was when he lifts the truck. Like the truck doesn't have any back wheels, right? Like it doesn't have any back wheels, so it's just rotating. And I can't remember why, but it's rotating is keeping the engine running, and they're powering something. And he cuts the there's this like big giant rubber band that's keeping it in motion, and he cuts it, and he lifts it up, and he just lets it go into the town. He's got the explosion on it. And as soon as that one big explosion happens, dude, we're off to the races.
Yeah.
Like after that, everything is like pop, 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 gunfire here, gunfire there. Like you said, Dutch throws this big blade at somebody, and he sticks into a wall, and he's like, "Stick around." And it's like, dude, like this is it. This is the movie that I'm like, okay, this is the movie that I'm envisioning with these type of characters. And everyone's pulling their weight, bro. Like everyone's doing everything. This is where you get that other iconic line from Blain when they notice that he's been shot, and he's like, "You're hit, man, you're bleeding." And Blain hits that line where he says, "I ain't got time to bleed." And I'm like, yo, that's such a BA line. Like, what do you mean you don't have time to bleed? He's like, "I ain't got time to bleed." And they take out the guy that's trying to, hide above. But man, what a sequence. What an absolute sequence. And this is where we start to learn the truth a little bit about Dillon's plans.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the thing with the minigun, because I forget how McTiernan got the idea. I think he said he saw it on the helicopters, like as a device. And in his mind, he thought about what would it be like if a man held that actual gun?
Dude.
And he gave it to the biggest guy on set, just
Blain. Yeah, Blain is huge. Blain is huge.
So he's carrying it around, I don't remember this being a handheld gun before this movie.
I've never seen it. I can't think of a movie that's older that I said. Only the first two movies that come to mind always, and they're both Arnold movies, Predator and Terminator 2.
Right.
Like those are the two movies where I'm like, oh, the minigun. But this was the first time I remember seeing it. And again, this thing is a monster, dude.
It's
like,
so
good God.
You just see the barrel just spins.
Dude, the sound of it. I can't even recreate the sound. It's unreal.
Just coming out. If you're a gamer, if you can get a minigun in the video game, you're set for a little bit, because
buddy.
But obviously he's such an iconic gun that ends up popping up all throughout, movies, shows, and video games as well.
Oh, so. Yeah. This sequence was, this was the steroid of the movie. This was just the over-the-top action, aggressive nature. It was everything I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, lots of explosions. I'm like, why is everything exploding? Like,
yeah. And again, and everything, dude, everything was blowing up.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this off the air. It was so important for this scene to happen the way that it did, to see just how good this team was as a unit.
Yeah.
To see how they could so easily dispatch of all these baddies in this small village. Just go out there and take them out like it's nothing. Again, we get the line from Blain, who's been hit, "I ain't got time to bleed." Like the fact that he's like, can't even acknowledge that I've been hit right now, can't acknowledge that I've been shot. This whole scene is set in motion so we can see exactly who this team is and realize and recognize them as like, oh my God, this team is unstoppable. So when things obviously go south, it means more, because now it's just not a random team. It's like, no, these guys are pretty unstoppable. So whatever's going on is really, really bad.
The team learns the hostages were CIA agents.
Yeah.
And Dillon admits the cabinet minister's story was a lie to convince Dutch, who refuses to use his team for assassinations, to eliminate the camp and prevent a Soviet-sponsored invasion.
Yeah.
Dillon also discloses that the original mission team disappeared, and the Green Berets had been sent to find them, the ones that we found strung up there. This intense sequence between him and Dillon. What happened to you? You used to be a man that I can trust. What happened? I woke up, and you need to wake up too.
Yeah.
So,
and it stinks, because this is where Dillon pretty much says, like, you guys are expendable. You guys are expendable, and I used you to get the job done. And again, Dutch reminds us who he is, where he's not just a leader of a squad. Like, these men are under his command, but like, he cares for them, because he goes, my men are not expendable. He didn't say I'm not expendable. He says my men are not expendable. And I thought that was, again, they keep showing these pieces of Dutch of like who he is. And it's just unfortunate because you can tell that him and Dillon had a great relationship at some point, and at this point, like it's pretty much strained to a non-existent friendship because he tricked him, he lied to him, and his team to get them there to do their dirty work, and then at the end of the day, he's like, "Yeah, you're expendable. I used you. I woke up. You need to wake up." And it was like, "Good God, man."
Yeah. Dillon takes a surviving Guerilla, Anna, prisoner, and the team travels toward the extraction point. Mac calls Dillon over, just another great part, and he stabs his shoulder. He said, "Come here." And then he stabs his shoulder, and then, Dillon turns real fast, and you see it was a scorpion.
Yeah.
Quickly, we shift to a shot of the creature's hand. Well, we don't know what type of thing it is at this point, but we just see this hand in infrared holding the scorpion. And this is while we hear a playback of the team's vocals, notably Mac's interaction with Dillon, where saying thanks, anytime. And of course,
Anytime.
Billy. Yeah, right. And then Billy's laugh. Just eerie. More horror
eerie.
here,
Yeah, dude.
and you're seeing this like monstrous hand and the scorpion. There's some trivia out there that that the scorpion was meant to be like a homage to the face hugger.
Oh, okay. I can
in the
see
infrared, it looked more like a face hugger.
It does. It does. It
So
absolutely
there's
does.
some trivia out there that said that McTiernan kind of might have did that, and we'll get into the influence of Alien later on. So
yeah, and as you mentioned, that scene is pretty eerie. Like, again, this movie it takes its time building, but as a kid, I remember being scared, and even Billy's laugh was unsettling.
Oh, yes.
Like Billy's laugh, and then the predator, trying it out, and you hear the laugh and playing it back. I was just like, ugh, like it gave me chills. I was like, I did not like that.
He's trying to learn how to talk like us, basically.
Yep.
So, unbeknownst to the team, a technologically advanced humanoid predator has stalked them since their arrival, remaining invisible with a cloaking device and using thermal imaging vision to see their body heat. Billy senses the presence of something inhuman, but cannot confirm his suspicions. He says there's something in those trees, and it zooms in. And even though something is there, the way the shot happens, you're looking in the trees too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Just great use of silence, and while Billy and Dutch are looking, you're looking too, right? You don't see anything.
You don't see it, and you're just like, it's in the trees, and you're just like, where is it? Like, the movie does such a good job with tension and building suspense.
Anna flees while the team are distracted, and although Hawkins catches her, he is killed by the predator while Anna is spared. This is the first of the team members to go down. You see the cloaked form briefly, and then all you see is the blood spatter onto her face, and he drags Hawkins away instantly.
Yeah, and it's just it's done very quickly, and again, obviously, you get the blood splatter, and it's horrific. Like she's just completely covered in blood, and he just gets dragged away into the jungle, and you're like, I don't even want to know what's about to happen.
Yeah. So we have another screen share here. We're gonna get to Blain's departure from the movie here.
Oh man, dude.
Yeah.
We look before we get to Blain.
Yeah.
The first character that we lost, that was Howard, right? That's
Hawkins.
Hawkins. I'm sorry, Hawkins. So Hawkins goes first, right? You have this really tragic moment where they're looking for him, and Dutch is like, is it Hawkins? And he's like, I can't tell. And you're like, what do you mean you can't tell?
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? And it's like, again, we're back in this body horror where the body is so unrecognizable, and there's body parts and limbs and guts, if you will, and it's just all there. And he's like, and they're so lost, they have no idea what's happening. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't tell. And I remember just that line alone being so scary to me. Where it's like, I can't tell.
Shout out to the actress that plays Anna. She sells fear a lot in this movie, and she just saw this man die right in front of her. And later on, they have they're going and searching and stuff like that, and they came back and they're like, why is she still here? And
Yeah.
look at her, she's terrified, she
Yep.
doesn't want to leave. So so let's come back to Blain here.
Oh.
So up until now, Ventura is just dropping these one-liners, just this big guy, holding the minigun, just such a big character, and while the team is searching for Hawkins' body, the Predator kills Blain.
Oh,
He one-shots him. Another one
bro.
shot here. Like, the Predator one-shots a lot of these guys, but
Oh yeah.
it's I had to look it up. It's the shoulder gun. It's the plasma cannon, I believe, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Plasma blaster, and it just goes clean through his chest. One
Bro,
shot.
it comes through his back and out of his chest, and you see like it opens his chest and rib cage is exposed, and it's horrific, dude. Like, again, we're taking these people out like they're nothing after we just witnessed how good they are at what they do, and they're just getting taken out like that, like in a blink of an eye. They're out of the picture, and you're just like, what? And now we're getting to see like more of the Predator's tech, and we're seeing a plasma blast, and it's like, oh my god, this thing is shooting plasma. Like, what is happening right now? Unreal effect, unreal.
Yeah, it's I had to look up the plasma caster. That's what it's called. That's a little deep cut there. So
Yeah.
so obviously, Matt comes, he sees Blain down, and this leads to him seeing the Predator's cloaked form. And enraged at Blain's death, this provokes the team into blindly firing their weapons
Oh,
into the jungle, wounding the Predator. Another great scene. So he sees the cloaked Predator, and then all he sees is the flash of the eyes.
yeah.
So he starts spraying, and then everybody joins in. His gun runs out of ammo. Then he picks up Blain's minigun, and then he just continues going. Everyone, you know what? If he's firing, we're firing too.
Yeah, dude.
So they all join in. Poncho's firing the grenade launcher as well. This is great. No questions asked.
Unbelievable.
Something happened. Blain is down. We're firing. That's it. The jungle gets destroyed until all you can hear is the empty minigun spinning.
Dude,
And
again,
that's it.
that in itself was haunting, because like they all opened fire and they destroyed this jungle. Like, anything that would have been in the path of the gunfire would be obliterated. Anything would be obliterated. And they fired, they empty clips, they reload, and they're firing until they have pretty much nothing left in that current clip. And you just hear the minigun rotating, and you hear nothing else. And to the point where even Dutch kind of like looks over at Mac, and then Mac is just, he's so distraught. He's so frozen in that moment, and he finally lets go. And it's just like nothing. Didn't touch a thing.
Poncho goes to search a little bit. He comes back. He says, "We hit nothing."
Again, and look, when he says that, there's this. I don't want to say there's a shift, because we're getting a lot of shifts, but when he says that, he goes, "We hit nothing." Dutch is in a kneeled position, and he just stands up, and there's this moment of like, all right, we're outmatched here. We have no idea, and that's where you really start to feel it from Dutch as well as everyone else. Like, we have no idea what we're up against. This doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. And even Anna's trying to explain to them, but it doesn't make sense to them. Like, she's like, oh, the jungle came alive and took him. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So like, they are completely lost. And I love that we are little by little seeing them become more disheveled and more afraid. And we're seeing them get broken down as characters, essentially.
We then see a scene of the neon green substance on Anna's clothes from when she touched a leaf earlier. And this shifts to the Predator decloaking itself to tend to the bullet wound. This is where we learn that this is blood and it is injured.
Yep.
We get a quick shot of the creature, seeing a helmet, and it's screaming in pain. Just a great scene there. It does something wrong on the leg, and the head goes up and you hear the scream.
This was the scene that horrified me as a kid. This scared me as a kid,
Yeah.
because you're getting to see more of the anatomy. You see the hands, you see the claws or whatnot, and you see all this technology and the medical kit, And when it clamps down on that injury and lets out that guttural yell, I remember as a kid that terrified me.
Yeah.
If I was watching as a kid, I knew it was coming. I'd definitely put the volume down a little bit.
Yeah, and at this point, we see a helmet, so we still don't know what it looks like.
We have no
But
idea.
it still managed to be scary because just McTiernan going for that less is more approach.
Yup.
With this movie. So every time they ask Anna what happened to Hawkins, she says the same thing, and Poncho's her translator here. The jungle, it came alive and it took him. That's all she could say.
And Dillon's in complete denial. Dillon's like, no, there's like 3 to 4 men out there doing whatever. They took Cooper and they're doing this and they're doing that. Like, he refuses to believe it. And again, I like that aspect. I like it because you have like the other ones that are clear, like, no, there's something going on. Dillon refuses to believe it. And then you have Dutch that's trying everything in his power to try to keep everybody on the same level.
Right. It's almost a horror trope, like these slasher movies. The people, or actually rather the one doubtful person.
Yep.
And that usually ends up getting taken down because of their doubts.
Yep. The skeptic, if you will, is like, nah, that's
Correct.
ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
The jungle come alive doesn't make any sense. That's what she said. That is she's wrong. She's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
So we have a scene between Billy and Poncho. Poncho says, Billy, you know something. What is it? Billy says, I'm scared, Poncho. Poncho, BS. You ain't afraid of no man. Billy, there's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man. We're all going to die.
Dude, we're all going to, when he says we're all going to die, you're like, yeah, dude, they're not going to make it. Like, again, Billy's so in tune with everything and so stoic. And for the moment he says he's afraid, he's like, he says he's afraid, he's scared. And he's like, BS, you ain't scared no man, because that ain't no man. And it's like, oh Lord, like he knows there's something there. And what it is, as an audience member, we're not entirely sure yet, but man, they are getting picked off.
The team makes camp for the night, booby trapping the perimeter. A wild boar triggers a trap, and the predator uses the ensuing confusion to steal Blain's corpse. Anna starts talking. She said, there is something else. When the big man was killed, you must have wounded it. Its blood was on the leaves. And then Dutch drops the line, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Oh, yeah. Another big line from the franchise.
Yeah, great line. So the following day, Dutch deduces that the predator is stalking them from the treetops. So Dutch releases Anna, needing her to work with them to survive. She recounts local folk tales of a monster who kills men and takes trophies from their corpses, typically when the weather is hottest. The team booby trap the treetops. We get a montage. Another 80s trope there.
Oh, yeah. And everybody's got the shirts off. Everybody's doing everything. Yeah. Typically, yep.
Yeah, it's great. And this is to force the predator into a net, but it is able to escape, and Poncho is injured. So I'm going to break down the scene here. It's very tense. Mac is sitting there with his signature shaving here.
Oh, yeah.
He's pressing the disposable razor into his face so hard, he starts bleeding and it breaks.
Yeah.
And there's a little detail there. There's a chip of the disposable razor on his face. And Dillon's just like staring at him like, what is going on here?
Yeah, dude. Like Mac, dude, Mac is almost completely checked out at this point. Mac has one thing on his mind, and it's to kill what took his brother Blain. Like, that's it. Like, I keep putting him over. He has a great monologue where he talks to the moon and talks about his experiences with Blain and what he's going to do to the thing that killed him. Like, you really feel it. So like, he's probably the most broken at this point, and that was a really good like reflection. Like when he's holding it, I remember it hurt me like watching it. I was like, ow, ow, ow. Like, we shave, we understand burns.
Yes.
And I was like, it still hurts. And he just presses sore and he kind of just looks, and Dillon's just like, dude, this guy's off.
Right. And the joke is this Mac is so, well, this is just Mac because he's just with no shaving cream. That's just his thing.
Yeah.
He's just like sitting there going like that, you know? Anna's telling the story of El Diablo Cazador de Hombres. Was that the devil of hunter of men? We have Dillon continuing to doubt Dutch, asking him if he wants to try cheese next to catch what's coming after them. when the net goes up, it slices open before it gets settled at the top.
Oh
So
yeah.
the predator knows it got caught, but it's like, I can't let them see me get caught up here. So it slices the net open the minute it hits up to the top. You see leaves everywhere. It shoots one of the traps, and the log swings and injures Poncho
Yeah, pretty bad.
right in the midsection there. The predator swings from the treetops, but not before the cloaking malfunctions. And then
Mm.
Dillon finally
Dillon sees it.
he sees it briefly.
Yeah.
And Carl Weathers, man, just
Yes.
sells that. Whoo, what a great actor. Just sells
Yes.
that moment. Jaw dropped. Just he didn't know what to do.
I'm so glad you brought up his performance in that moment because it was so legitimate. I'm like, yo, that's probably the realest face anyone would make in that situation. And like, there was so much just fear and this realization that it is true. What Anna was saying is absolutely true. And they're being picked off by something that he has never seen before. They don't know what this is. And I love that it's him that gets that moment because he's the skeptic, right? Like he's the one that's like, no, it's not this. And when he gets to look at it, like, and the camera work, like the camera's moving and going into like a Dutch angle with him. And he's just staring at this, like, Carl Weathers. Wow, so good.
Yeah. So Mac only got to see the eyes.
Yeah.
Dillon got to see the whole creature. You know, everything head to toe, and it was only for a split second, but it was enough to just terrify him.
Mm-hmm.
Next up here, Mac and Dillon, who want to make amends with the team, they pursue the predator, but they are outmaneuvered and killed. So let's break this down here. First of all, we're gonna talk about Mac here a little bit.
Poor Mac, man.
I know. 3 dots.
Yup. This is where we got introduced to the 3 dots. I was like, oh, yep, buddy.
Just another great part. So Mac, he's quoting, I had to look it up. It's a song by Little Richard called Long Tall Sally. Mm-hmm. So he's quoting that song, and you know, they're looking around, and then he whispers at Dillon to come over, and he shows him the cloaked predator in the trees, and he says, I see you. You know,
I see you. Yep.
Yeah.
And they think they're gonna flank it, dude. Like Dillon's like, I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna get behind him, flush him forwards. You do the thing. He's like, yeah, I got a score to settle.
Fight about it too. It's good. It's a great.
Yeah.
He's whispering because he doesn't want to give away the position, and then grabs him by the mouth, like, don't scream, it's me. You know. So now they're trying to sneak up on the predator so they can take it out. As Mac is crawling under the tree in the leaves, I put the scene up here. He sees the 3 dots on his arm.
Oh, that's it.
He leans up, and the predator is standing right over him and shoots him point blank in the head.
It's a violent sequence, man, because they have the shot behind his head, and you just see nothing but just splatter cover the screen. Like it's just, oh man, one shot kill, just one shot.
So a lot of people point this out as a continuity error in the film.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're gonna say.
So it's apparently, you know, this is meant to be like a lethal kill where it leaves a hole in the man's head. Because later on, when you see the skulls, there is one skull with a hole in the head. However, moments after the scene later on, when they discover, I want to say Dillon found him. You know, when you see Mac dead, I don't know who found him, but Mac is dead. But for us to know that it was Mac, you see Mac's head and you see his face. You know, just sitting there, seemingly not destroyed, just you see blood, and then that's about it. So a lot of people point this out as a possible continuity error. So
yeah, and every time I see it, I forget it, and then I see it happen, and I'm like, oh, because that shot was so explosive. Like the way it's executed, it's like, oh, there's no head left. Like that thing is completely just obliterated, and then the next frame, you see his head there, and he's kind of just like his head's back, or whatever. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's do you know, just a suspension of disbelief. Maybe that was just the exit wound. You know, maybe that was just the exit wound.
Yeah, like that could, if we want to like really try to help it out, yeah, absolutely. It could have been like a smaller projectile, and like it's just the exit, obviously it opens up much wider, but this is maybe just a small entry wound,
right?
You know, we could play with it.
But then when we see Mac, we don't even see the entry wound. Shouldn't we see like a wound on the top?
It's like,
all right, it's all right. It's a part of this. It's a part of the movie now, you know. All right, so let's get to Dillon now.
Ooh, Dillon, bro.
This scene. Phew. All right. So he does. So I stand corrected. It is Dillon. Dillon's the one that finds Mac dead.
Yep.
The Predator taunts him by playing the recording of Mac saying anytime. You know, when he says thank you, anytime. Yeah. Dillon sees it in the trees and the eyes flash. So he raises his gun. And as soon as he pulls the trigger, a few bullets get out. The Predator shoots his arm off with the shoulder cannon, the plasma caster rather. The severed arm falls to the ground, and because it's still in the firing, right? It's still firing. But he doesn't take his eyes off of the Predator. You know, he lost his arm, but he's like, no, I'm going down with a fight.
Yeah.
He's still standing. So with his remaining arm, he takes the remaining gun that he has strapped to himself, and the Predator's pursuing him. And before he has a chance to shoot it, the Predator comes, runs up and impales him with the claw. Another iconic.
Lifts him off the ground, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this sequence was awesome because, again, Carl Weathers. So, like, when the gunshot happens and his arm falls off, like, Carl lets out this scream that just goes throughout the entire jungle. Like, everybody can hear it. And he sees the Predator, and the Predator is sprinting, man. Like, this thing is running Barry Allen style, just coming straight for this dude. And he sees it, and he just goes, okay. And again, like you said, with his one arm, he just pulls the gun around, and he gets ready to open fire, but it's too late. And your boy gets impaled, and he lifts him in the air, and it's a very, very, very violent death.
Yeah. This is highlighted by the severed arm clearly that is still firing the gun.
Yeah.
You know, as it's laying off there. So the Predator soon catches the remaining survivors, killing both Billy and Poncho. So let's talk about Billy's send-off here.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, takes off all his gear. He drops his gear and his gun. Just got the machete.
He was ready to throw down with a machete, bro. He's like, yo, let's go.
So he cuts this mark on himself. And you realize he's just buying Dutch some time. You know,
like,
Dutch, come on, Billy, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's how I looked at it too. Like, he's taking a last stand. He knows that it's on their tail. And it was kind of like, no, I'm going to go down fighting. Keep going. And Dutch doesn't waste any time. He's like, Billy, let's go. And he realized what's happening. And he's like, all right, yeah, we got to go. Like, he's made his choice. And he's getting ready to throw down.
So he holds up the machete, waiting to face off with the Predator. He dies off screen, and all you can hear is just screams. So let's talk about this now, just for a second here. You know, this is talked about too. This is the only on-screen death of one of the main characters. And it's practically a face-to-face showdown. No guns. He's got the blade. But if they did show this, it would clearly take away from later on.
Absolutely.
Where Dutch has that showdown with the Predator. So
absolutely. Like, if we would have seen it, and obviously in the franchise, we have seen standoffs in the sequels. And at that point, you know, we have seen them. So it's like, okay, but this being the first time someone's going to stand up, there's a reason why they couldn't show it. And, you know, they were building. And it, you know, when our main character's off-screen death, you just hear his screams and you know that's it. I'm like, Billy's gone.
Right.
And then a one-shot's coming.
Yeah. You're talking about Poncho, right?
Yup.
Yeah. So Poncho's injured. He's got bruised ribs, abdomen, internal bleeding, all the, you know, a log hit him in the midsection. And he's being carried by Dutch. He gets shot in the head, gone.
Yeah.
While being held up by Dutch. So he was injured at this point, and he wasn't a threat. So all the Predator was really doing was finishing the job.
He was like, yo, buddy, you're going down, you know, because, like, at this point, Dutch has mentioned it, too. Dutch has mentioned earlier in the film that one of the reasons Anna was alive was because she was unarmed. He was like, nope, she was unarmed. It didn't mess with her. We're all good. So, yeah, Poncho, he's down for the count. And Predator's like, I got to finish you off, buddy. One shot to the dome. And that was it. And I was like, gosh.
Yeah, it's not done until you're done, basically.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I don't care if you're no longer a threat to me, but
Yeah.
this is a battle. I'm hunting all of you, you know?
Yep.
So realizing the predator only attacks those it considers a threat, Dutch warns Anna to relinquish her weapon and run to the extraction point. Another iconic moment here. He kicks the gun away
Yep.
and starts firing. He gets shot by the predator, but he survives actually.
Yeah.
God,
It hits his gun. Like he's so
yeah,
lucky that it hit majority of the gun. That's the only thing that saved it. Because if not, that thing was gonna push through his chest.
right. And he screams the iconic line, "Get to the chopper."
Get to the chopper. Like it's again, this whole sequence is great because again, it kicks up a notch, right? Like we had this small battle, we have an off-screen death, Poncho's down, and she goes to grab a gun. And I love again, Dutch is that guy, man, where he's like, don't, and he's like, no, and he kicks it out of her hand, and he's like, run, and he just open and fire. Like that's it, open and fire, and he gets hit with the gun, and he tells you just go. Get to the chopper. Like, yes.
I
Tis
like
the
the
line.
stance he does too. It's like a pivot.
Yeah,
He
yes,
pivots and he
it's so good.
stomps and he stomps down. As he stomps down, that's when the
Yep,
gun starts going off. It's a great scene.
it is. It's really, really good.
All right, so got another screen share here. It's our first full look at the predator here.
Whoo.
So Dutch distracts the predator before falling from a cliff into a waterfall and washing up on a muddy shore. The predator pursues Dutch, but is seemingly unable to see him. So Dutch is completely covered in mud, and we get our first extended look at the predator here. You see this. The cloaking is presumably malfunctioning in the water. He rises up. You see the gear, the height, the locks. You see the claw, the plasma caster. It's like a complete
Yep.
package.
Yeah, this is where we get all of it.
Yeah, like, and once again, you have never seen anything like this before
No,
in a
no.
movie. It's a practical effect because the actor is over 7 feet tall, so that makes it
Mhm.
amazing as well. And Arnold covered in the mud. And for whatever reason, he makes this choice. He decides to lean back and put his arms up.
Yeah, he like grabs it like this. It's got to get
Yeah,
the biceps in there,
yeah. It
bro.
was. I mean,
Got to get the biceps in there.
I wonder, like, if this was like a tactical move, or was this just a way for Arnold to show a double bicep?
Yeah, I
You
don't
know?
know. I don't know because yeah, he could have very easily just sit there, but he sits there and he grabs and he goes, huh? He just kind of grabs and he's just like holding it like this. And I was like, oh, okay. He
And
just spread
maybe
out
it
a
was
little
easier
bit.
to hold the stance like that. I don't know. But
Possibly.
you and I both know the truth. It's
Gotta get,
a double bicep pose.
gotta get the guns out, bro.
Guns
Gotta
out.
get the guns out.
Sun
And
tuck
at
the
this
guns
point,
in.
the shirt is gone and he's just
Right.
rocking like the vest with
Right.
no shirt. You know what I mean? He falls in the water. I did want to mention this when he falls into the river and he goes to the muddy part of the land and he thinks he's okay and all you see is a splash behind him. Like that was so scary to me as a kid because you're thinking, okay, like he bought some time. He bought some time. He can get away. And all you hear and see is a splash. And like he doesn't have time to rest. And I was like, oh my God. And the predator comes out of the water and you start seeing the gear malfunction. You see this, see that. And we get that great reveal. And honestly, like you said, this is arguably like top 5 designs of any type of creature in film. It is unbelievable. It stands the test of time. And we haven't even seen 100% of the reveal yet, but just up to this point, seeing the armor, seeing the weaponry, seeing everything, seeing how it scopes the area, and we get this great reveal that it can't see Dutch right now, and we go, oh, he covered the heat signature with the mud. You're like, oh, how can we use this?
Yeah, and he grabs the money. He goes, "Oh, he couldn't see me," and then you get the fade to the next scene here. The predator leaves to collect the skulls of the others as trophies, and you see the predator rip Billy's spine and skull out from the back, slow motion, real gruesome.
Yep.
Dutch concludes that the mud masked his body heat, making him invisible to the predator. So this is where he starts getting ready. This is it. It's just me and the creature now. Brings us to this moment here.
This whole sequence is incredible.
Yeah,
like everything that happens here
wonderful
is great, and I love how He's going back in time, essentially. No guns, no bombs, and just going so like, oh man, like primitive. You know what I mean? Like making a bow and arrow, creating spikes, creating booby traps, tying up giant trees by himself, and kind of creating a kill box, like a kill zone. And you get that amazing shot. One of my favorite shots of the entire movie, where he's essentially like, okay, I'm ready to throw down. Come and get me. And he lets out this, again, this guttural scream. Just, oh, I can't even do it. I won't even
Yeah.
attempt it, but it's so good.
Um, absolutely. So, seeking to avenge his team, Dutch creates makeshift traps and weapons. And you already mentioned, just another great montage. As night falls, he covers himself in mud and cries out to draw the predator to him. Um, as you stated, just such an incredible scream. Dutch uses his invisibility to wound the predator and disable its cloaking device. So
Mm-hmm.
he, if you saw earlier, I guess he had shells with like gunpowder in them,
Mm-hmm.
and he's making like he's putting them in leaves. And what he did was he used them to make explosives. So he made an
Yep.
explosive arrow, and he shoots. It doesn't hit the predator quite, dead on, but close enough where it injures the predator. This is mirroring an early scene where, one second here. Yes. So where the predator uses the plasma caster,
Mm-hmm.
this time he uses it back on Dutch, even though he can't see him.
You can't see him
So he's firing blindly
in
into the
all
trees,
directions. Yup.
just like when the team did it before. It was a nice mirroring of what happened before.
I was so happy that we had this great dynamic where like Dutch is so cool, right? Like you get that moment where with Dutch where he is also swinging from tree to tree, and like he swings and he hugs really really tight really quickly, and the predator is getting angry because he knows there's something going on but he can't see him. And when he does the explosion and he damages him even more, and the predator just starts firing in all directions, I was like, this is incredible. We have mirrored the scene where they could not find or see hit, so they just fired in all directions, and now the predator is in that frustration, and I loved it. It was a great mirroring scene.
Later on, Dutch tricks the predator into shooting his shoulder gun again, the plasma caster. He tosses an explosive spear at it, injuring it. So Dutch ends up getting it away, and he sees the green blood, and he starts tracking it to, catch up to the predator. The predator comes up behind him, and he knows because he
Ooh.
sees the dripping blood. He lights another explosive trap for it, so he's able to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Dutch falls into a river, and his mud camouflage is now washed off. The predator catches him and
Ooh.
picks Dutch up by the neck, coming face to face with him. And I wrote this down here. Maybe internally he's getting a closer look at him, because if you notice,
Mhm.
like, he touches his face and stuff, he's like, "What makes you different than the rest of them?"
He's analyzing him, dude. Like he's moving his neck, moving his head around. And I was like, oh, like, is he trying to like get a structure of his skull? Like, what is he doing? Because he collects them as trophies.
Right.
And he's really analyzing this guy. Like, he didn't do this to any of the other characters. But with this one, he's like you said, I think that's a great way to pull and take away from it was the idea is like, what makes you so different? Like you're not like the others.
Right. And it's not like you're the biggest. I took down the biggest.
Yeah.
I took
Yeah.
down the biggest one. It's not like, you were fearless, so to speak. I took him down too.
Yep.
Billy. I took down your entire team. How are you able to do this to me? So, you see the scene just back and forth with the face. Um, Speaking of face,
Oh,
this
yes.
is where we see the predator's face,
Oh
and
my
I
God.
really
What a
hope we don't
reveal.
get flagged for this because it's gross. So,
What a reveal,
yeah.
man.
Deeming Dutch a worthy opponent, the Predator removes its weapons and mask, another iconic moment in this movie, revealing a monstrous visage to face him in hand-to-hand combat.
Whoo.
Um, so we're going to talk about the reveal here. You know, he lifts the mask up, and you see the infrared go to just straight red. So now
Yeah.
I don't have the helmet helping me with my vision.
Mhm.
You know, and then Dutch drops the line, "You're on one ugly mother effer."
It's so good. Bro, again, it was horrifying as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what is that? And then obviously Dutch drops the line, and he lets out that growl, and the mandibles open up, and it was like, nope, I don't want that at all, dude. Like, that is terrifying. And it's such a great sequence because he starts unarming itself, right? Like, it drops this, it takes that, it takes off the mask. And like you said, it's very much like, okay, you're worthy of one-on-one combat. Like, we learned so much about the Predator throughout the film. And just when I thought we couldn't learn anymore, I'm like, okay, he's a trophy hunter. This is what he does. He hunts, and for sport. And at this moment, it's like, oh my God, there's kind of a code here. And it's like, no, okay, clearly you are really, really good. You don't have any weapons. We'll make this a fair fight. All right, we'll throw down. And just, I couldn't believe this was about to happen. And I love how, like, Dutch grabs like this big piece of wood, and he tries to hit the Predator with it, and the Predator just blocks it, and it breaks. And Dutch is like, bad idea. And I was like, yes, Dutch, it was a very bad idea. And Predator's like, all right, bro, I'm about to go to town on you.
Yeah. So that's what I put up next here. You know, just a fist fight. Okay.
Yeah, just straight up fight, man.
Yeah, we're just gonna do this here, and you know, Arnold gets a couple shots in, and the Predator barely moves, and then he just starts wailing on Dutch, just fist after fist, just back and forth. Dutch doesn't stand a chance in this fight.
No, like, there's no way he's gonna win this fight. Like, he hits again. Arnold is not a small man. He's not, and he looks small next to this Predator. And I'll never forget when he hits the back fist. Like, he hits a back fist, and the Predator kind of just eats it, and his one mandible just kind of goes like, oh, okay. Kind of the same way we as humans would kind of like lick our gum if we felt like we got hit in the mouth, check if we're bleeding. We're kind of like, oh, okay. And it checks like, okay. And it just completely unloads on him again. Just punch after punch, hit after hit, midsection. It almost looks like a boxing movie at one point, because we're getting like the fast cuts, like bam, 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 bam. We're getting the slow motion, blood spitting out of the mouth. Blah, blah. Like, dude, there's no chance for Dutch in this fight.
Easily outmatched by the larger and stronger creature, Dutch attempts to goad it into a trapped tunnel, but the Predator suspects his plan and goes around. He's leaning down, and you can almost see like an eyebrow raise on the Predator.
Yes,
Almost.
yes, dude. No, I think you're right. If not, we both imagined it, because like there's this way he looks at it, and like you said, like, he turns his head, and it's almost like an eyebrow raise, like, yeah, buddy, no. And he gets up and walks around, and it's like dun dun, and the music's kicking up, and you're like, oh God, this is not going well.
Yeah. And then just another great delivery here. This is all, I don't even, maybe it's a line, maybe it's not, but Arnold just starts shouting all this stuff at him, you know.
Yes,
Come on,
I'm here. Come here.
come on.
Kill me. Do it now. What are you waiting for? Like, everything. Like,
Yeah.
come on. And
come
like,
on.
yeah, what are you waiting for? Like, he starts smiling. Come on, we're here. Like, let's go. Like, it's so good. And the Predator's like, and the Predator takes a step. He does take a step, but when he touches it, he goes, oh, what is, oh, okay.
He sees the tripwire. Yeah.
I think I'll go around. And it's like, oh, crap.
Yeah. So Dutch ends up triggering the trap himself, releasing a counterweight, which crushes the Predator. It's a huge log straight
Oh,
to
this thing,
the head.
yeah, this thing is huge, dude.
It's done. Just straight on. Predator goes down. The Predator is still alive, though. So Dutch is sitting there, like, he's like, okay, it's finally over. And then you see the log.
Dude, the log moves, and I was freaking out. I was
It's like,
no.
oh my gosh, like, what do you have to do to get rid of this thing, you know? Dutch goes to get a rock, a big rock, just old school caveman style. You're done.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
He goes to scream to kill it, but he hesitates, unfortunately. The Predator is coughing up blood, and Dutch's curiosity gets the best of him. Dutch says, what the hell are you? And then the Predator says it back.
Yes, right back. He goes, "What the hell are you?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"What?" I was like, "What?"
Mortally wounded, the predator activates a wrist-mounted self-destruct device, simultaneously mimicking Billy's laugh while we
Yeah, dude.
hear Billy's laugh recording playing loudly
Eerie, bro.
at,
So eerie.
at the same time. Dutch flees, barely escaping the enormous resulting explosion that just blows the entire area to smithereens. This part was nuts because you think, okay, Dutch won.
Yeah.
He got him. Okay, that's it. And then once the log starts moving, it's like, oh no, and Dutch goes to do it. And you're like, yes, do it. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
and but he shows mercy for a split second.
Yeah. He sees this thing coughing up blood. And like you said, I think the curiosity part, because he drives and goes, "What the hell are you?" And like, he's like, okay, in his mind, he's like, it's not getting up. And this sequence was really cool too, because being that this is the first of the franchise, by this point, we're well aware. The first time you watch this, you go, "What is it doing?" And it's like, dude, it's hitting the wrist, and you do, 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 and you're like, "Oh my god, that's a countdown, dude!"
Uh-huh.
And like just like Dutch, it clicks into place. But it was so eerie when it started laughing, man. When it starts laughing, and not only is it laughing, it has the physical embodiment of like someone laughing really hard. Like it leans his head back, you almost see like the shoulders, like it's like,
Yes.
yeah, dude, like it's unbelievable. And it's just laughing, and it's like, yeah, buddy, you may have beaten me, but I'm taking you with me. The predator's like, "Nah, we're both going, bud." And I was like, oh no. And it's almost as if the predator, as a trophy hunter, can itself never be a trophy, right? Like it's like, no, I cannot allow you to keep me as a trophy. Be able, like, nope, can't. Nope. I'm taking myself. I'm taking you with me. And Dutch just barely makes it.
Yeah. All right. So we get to our ending here, and I want to show Anna some love. She
Oh
makes it.
yeah,
She
yeah,
makes
yeah.
it.
She
And
made it.
there's no more dialogue
No.
after the predator gets defeated. Just except from the guys that find Dutch. And as dawn breaks, the extraction helicopter arrives with Anna to collect the exhausted and now Wikipedia says it here, traumatized Dutch.
Oh yeah.
He just looks at her, and then that's how the movie closes here. What a movie,
Bro. Like,
what a movie.
this is this is a cinematic masterpiece. It is what it is. It's a movie that stands the test of time. It never feels aged, even when you look at the visual effects, and you obviously, okay, the visual effects or whatnot don't hold up to something like an Avatar today, but it holds up so well in the context of the film and with the story, and there's so much to love about it. This is one of those movies I'll never get tired of, man. Like, I could watch this island movie. What do they say? Like, if you were on an island and you
Yes.
had to bring movies with you, Predator's on that list, baby. Like, come on now. Like, it's that good.
Yeah. Every time I watch this movie, I'm just transported back to the first time I saw it.
Mhm.
And you just can't help but breathe that sigh of relief with Dutch on the
Oh yeah.
helicopter when Anna's
Yes.
and Anna has a tear coming down her face too,
Mhm.
just looking at him, and he's just like, man, I don't know what I've been through. Like, this is no one's gonna believe me. Like, this is
No,
just
that part.
incredible. Yeah,
That part. Yeah.
like I already went through war. I didn't realize I could be traumatized even further than the war I had been through before.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, his entire team is dead. Dillon is dead. No one survived that. You have things that he can't explain, and no one's gonna buy it. Like, I can't. Like, you take that breath of relief, right? And I love that there's no dialogue. I really love that there's no dialogue after the explosion. Like, he stands there in the smoke. He's in the helicopter, and there's this moment where, like, he's not sitting forward. And again, it's about like body language. He's like sitting back, just completely done, like gassed out, exhausted, um just head leaned back, just staring out into nothingness, just completely done and shattered. Like, it's a great ending.
so let's just continue giving our initial thoughts here. I put down here the length of the movie, 1 hour and 47 minutes.
Mm.
Great pacing. There is no
Yes.
filler in this movie, just action from beginning to end. Um, it's I'm glad that it's under 2 hours
Oh,
because
dude, yeah.
you just get straight to the point, and even though it gets quiet, at some
Mm,
point in the movie, quiet, it just builds the tension. The
yeah.
the pacing of this movie is what a part of the reason what that makes it great. Let's take a look at the box office here.
Mhm.
So Predator was made for between 15 and 18 million in
That's
1987. It's
crazy.
1987, so just
That
for
is true. That
inflation,
is true.
probably a little
Yeah,
bit
that is
more,
true.
probably a little bit more, but you can't help but wonder, um, you know, besides Arnold, there wasn't really, I mean, these actors, these were name actors, but they
Yeah.
weren't like worldwide A-list
Mhm.
stars, so to speak, but these were
Yeah.
known actors. Carl Weathers was probably the most known actor out
Mhm.
of everybody besides Arnold. Um, it ended up making 98 million.
Mm.
98 million based on a $15 million budget. Okay, not bad.
Yeah. In the
Not bad.
80s, yeah. Yeah.
And adjusted for inflation, obviously, clearly hundreds of millions, if you compare
Mhm.
that to today. Predator was nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars.
Yeah, baby.
It did not win. There was only 2 nominees. So
Okay.
it lost to Inner Space, which I have not seen.
Okay.
This is directed by Joe Dante. Now, if you don't recognize that name, you may recognize the movies he's been a part of here. The original Piranha, The Howling,
Mm.
a portion of the Twilight Zone movie,
Okay.
Gremlins, The Burbs, and Gremlins
Oh,
2.
yeah. Yeah.
So horror comedy, practical effects. No stranger to that. So if that's the stuff that he's been a part of or directed, rather, then you could clearly assume maybe he did some of that stuff on Inner Space, and maybe that's why it beat Predator. I don't buy that for a single second. This was such an original movie, and
Yeah.
the concepts and such. Like, I think the Academy was scared
Probably.
to give it to Predator because it was
Yeah.
a horror sci-fi genre movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and like thinking about what it looked from presentation again, it's a bunch of like musclehead action guy. Like it didn't scream academy to those people, and they probably, like you said, they probably were a little scared because the visual effects are fantastic in that movie, just so good.
So Predator is the only film in the franchise to be nominated for an Academy Award.
Mm.
The follow-up film Prey, which we did talk about in 2022,
Oh
became
yeah.
the first film in the franchise to be nominated for and actually win an Emmy Award. So at the time, when we did our Prey podcast, it was a year after it was released, so 2023. It still hadn't been nominated for the Emmy yet. With the timing and the way it came out, it was the Emmys the following year, 2024, actually, when this came out here. So the nominations are as follows: Outstanding Directing for a Limited or Anthology Series or Movie, Outstanding Writing for a Limited or Anthology Series or Movie, Outstanding Picture Editing for a Limited or Anthology Series or Movie, Outstanding Television Movie, Outstanding Music Composition for a Limited or Anthology Series, Movie, or Sequel, and Prey won Outstanding Sound Editing for a Limited or Anthology Series, Movies, or Sequel, or Special, rather, excuse me. So, and this is because Prey was only released on Hulu. It never got
Yeah.
a
I really wish it got a
theater
theatrical
release.
release.
Yeah, it
It
never
was
got a
that good.
yeah, and you can't help but wonder, if Prey would have made some noise with the major categories if it was released, in the
Oh
theaters.
yeah.
We,
Yeah.
we'll never know. When it came to recognize Predator with the Academy Award nomination, the combination of techniques used had the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences officially scratching their heads, unsure as to which category the Predator
Hmm.
belonged. The mechanical features of the character's head suggested the makeup effects category, but due to the camouflage effects, there was a visual effects aspect to the character as well. Ultimately, Winston, who was nominated for an Oscar for Predator in the visual effects category, just as he had been for Aliens, which he worked on, but he and his co-nominees lost to the effects team from Inner Space, which I mentioned,
Okay.
illustrating just how confused the Academy was over this new blending of special effects, makeup, and visual effects excuse me, Technologies. The same year, it categorized the Predator creature as a visual effect. It ended up honoring Rick Baker with an Oscar in the makeup category for his work on Harry and the Hendersons. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Despite the fact that Harry had been achieved in exactly the same way that the Predator had, with a performer wearing a suit and a mechanical head. In fact, the same actor, Kevin Peter Hall, he played Harry in Harry
Like,
and the
oh, buddy, all
Hendersons.
right, I see you.
We're gonna take a look at some movie trivia here now.
Yes.
Jim and John Thomas are the names of the men that wrote this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Several directors were approached to direct this film. Take a look at this list here, including Ridley Scott, James Cameron, Brian De Palma, Richard Donner, John Milius, John Carpenter, and Rennie Harlan. However, they would all pass, stating they didn't want to shoot an alien/monster movie in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
John McTiernan would eventually be chosen to direct the film instead. Rumors persist that Billy's death was originally filmed but cut from the movie because it was too violent. This is completely false, as Billy's demise was always intended to occur off screen, with his scream being the only indication of what happened to him. And this sequence is similar to King Willie's death in Predator 2, where viewers see the build-up to the fight and its aftermath, yet the battle itself, it happens off screen. So they did it again in Predator 2. The Predator's blood was originally supposed to be orange, but it was difficult to accomplish. An effects guy instead suggested they open the glow sticks.
Oh,
and pour the liquid wherever they need it. So they combined that with a couple things there, and then obviously a visual effect to make it glow like that.
Yep.
When the script was pitched around Hollywood, the shorthand description used was Alien in the Jungle.
Okay.
So Alien came out in 1979, Predator 87. So that's how that happened. Aliens, 1986, was cited as one of Jim and John Thomas's influences, the writers rather, behind the film, because it was about space marines battling against and being picked off one by deadly extraterrestrial creatures. In Predator 2, Harrigan, Danny Glover, discovers the skull of a xenomorph in the Predator spaceship. The scene spawned crossover comic books, action figures, and video games of Alien vs. Predator, and 2 feature films, Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem. So the AVP universe ended up happening because Predator itself was inspired by the Alien franchise. So that's what ended up happening there. Really cool trivia. When the failure of the first Predator suit halted production, Arnold recommended his old pal from the Terminator, Stan Winston, to design and build an all-new Predator. I met with John McTiernan and Joel Silver, the producer, and we talked about the Predator. Stan Wilson recalled, "My feeling from reading the script was that the Predator had to be a real character rather than a generic creature. He needed to be a very specific character, and that's what we came up with."
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to read the whole clip here, but that's how it ended up happening. Now there's like trivia online of kind of like how the design came to be. And apparently there was like a dreadlocked figure in either the producer or the director's office. So he saw this picture, and then I guess you said like on a plane, maybe, like he was talking.
Yeah, like I remember reading, and it's the internet, so you know what I mean. But I remember reading a story where they said he was just drawing on the plane and getting ideas to come up with it, and I think that's where he was able to come up with the design, just like going over the idea with the plane, and as you mentioned, with another named director, claiming some fame for it.
Apparently James Cameron says he came up with the design because he said to Winston, like, I always wanted to do something with mandibles, and that gave Winston like kind of an idea there. That this is just confirmed. No story. The curtain call at the end was due to McTiernan's desire to show the team together again after the downer ending.
Dog, and I love the credits.
Yeah. He says, you know where I stole this? From Robert Altman, a movie called Brewster McCloud. If you want to have some fun, go on social media. I want to say TikTok,
Mhm,
and there's a thing where it says any 80s sitcom can fit
mhm.
the Predator end credits.
Yes, 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 yes.
So that's great. Some more trivia here. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, Richard Chavez, Sonny Langdon, they all have real life served in the military. Arnold served in the Austrian Army, Ventura in the United States Navy, and Chavez and Langdon served in the United States Army. So we all have
Mm,
military vets here. The only scene where anyone was actually hurt on the film, this is actually really hurt in real life, was
mhm.
the bit where Dutch slides down the hillside and falls in the river. The
Okay.
stuntman apparently threw out his knee while falling, while there was a second injury. It turned out after the fact that I found out after I got back to the States that I'd broken my wrist and had
Oof.
just worked through it. I fell out of a tree and I was too embarrassed to admit I was hurt. That's John McTiernan, the director. He hurt his
Yeah,
wrist
he's like,
in
"Yep."
the movie. When Dutch says that the predator is a hunter, there is a long pause when he says hunter because that was the original title of the film.
Yeah, yeah. They,
Yeah.
they. There was quite a few changes to this movie before it was released.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to get to that in a little bit here when we get to the cast. Um, Lastly, we're just going to go down the character deaths here,
Mhm.
and there's like a symbolism for
Yeah.
each of them. So the manner in which characters die reflects words or actions earlier in the film. Hawkins, known for his dirty jokes, dies while chasing a woman,
Mhm.
Anna. Blain, who had earlier told Poncho he didn't have time to bleed, dies from a plasma Carter blast that admittedly cauterizes because he doesn't bleed.
Yes, that was. I remember he mentioned in the movie because it was cauterized from the heat.
Yes. Mac, who was constantly shaving, dies from a plasma Carter blast to his forehead that spares his face.
Mhm.
And then we talk about the continuity error with that, but there you
Yeah.
go. Dillon, who had lost a friendly arm wrestling match to Dutch, dies by having his arm torn off.
Yep. Just completely gone, buddy.
Billy, who had realized that the invisible predator was following them, dies without seeing his opponent. He never saw him coming.
Yep.
And lastly, Poncho, who had earlier asked Mac if he had time to duck, is hit in the chest with a tree trunk triggered by a plasma Carter blast. His injury slows him down and puts him at the predator's mercy. So there's a foreshadowing to each character's death based
Mhm.
upon things they said or
And
did
that's
earlier in the
that
movie.
that's really cool too, man. Like
Yeah.
those are little things like that that just add so much more to the movie in itself. And when a movie can do that, you kind of sit there and go, "Oh, I see. All right, yeah, that's cool."
Okay, we're going to give some love to the cast here. Uh,
Yes.
of course, we have the great Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dutch. Dutch's line, "Get to the chopper," is Arnold
Oh,
Schwarzenegger's personal favorite catchphrase of all of the films he's appeared in,
yep.
if you could imagine that. In an effort to not get sick while filming in Mexico, that's where it was filmed, John McTiernan instead went without eating a lot. He said, "I lost 25 pounds," and the line producer lost almost 40. Schwarzenegger did get sick eating street food down there. He ended up playing a scene with an IV bottle in his arm once. And Arnold grows visibly thinner throughout the movie as he began not eating as well to avoid illness.
Yeah.
So if you go back and look at it, he looks massive earlier in the movie, but he's more lean towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, he gets trimmer and trimmer. And you're like, "Oh, my boy getting cut through this
Yeah.
movie." And it's like, "Yeah."
Arnold believed this movie was such a hit because the heroes were impressively muscular and big.
Listen, look, it plays a role because again, we're seeing this team of gigantic dudes, huge 80s action buffs, and they're all getting taken out like nothing. And there's definitely something to say that it definitely did help to have these larger than life characters.
We have Carl Weathers as Dillon, In an interview, Carl Weathers said the actors would secretly wake up as early as 3 a.m. to work out before the day's shooting. Weathers also stated that he would act as if his physique was naturally given to him and would work out only after the other actors were nowhere to be seen. Carl Weathers came on board because John McTiernan wanted an actual actor to work against Schwarzenegger. The director had to fight to get a quality actor in the role. So
Mhm.
we have Elpidia Carrillo as Anna. John McTiernan wanted, he said he was impressed with her, saying she knows more about the character than I do. So she brought her own flair to the character there. We have Bill Duke as Mac, and Bill Duke improvised the shaving. So that's an actor trait that he came up with the disposable
cool.
razor. The crew, once they saw that, they scrambled on set to make a razor that squirts blood. So they
Okay,
have that
yeah, that's
pain
really
there.
cool. Yeah.
Next up, we have Jesse Ventura as Blain.
Mhm.
Arnold recommended Jesse Ventura for Blain after interviewing him for the role. He thought he looked like the part and was big enough, had a deep voice, and was manly. That's what he described him as. Jesse Ventura was delighted to find out from the wardrobe department that his arms were 1 inch bigger than
I
Arnold's.
remember this. I remember this.
He suggested to Arnold that they measure arms, with the winner getting a bottle of champagne. Ventura lost because Schwarzenegger had told the wardrobe department to tell Ventura his arms were bigger.
Yep, it was Arnold. Dude, Arnold was so funny. He did so many pranks like that when he talks about his early career, and that's so funny that these guys were even competing with their biceps.
Yeah. Next up, we have Sonny Langdon as Billy. If you are in tune with the trivia of this movie, then you know the story too, folks. The studio's insurance company would not agree to insure the production unless a bodyguard was hired for Sonny Langdon. Landham, yes, for the sole protection of protecting people from Sonny.
Yeah, exactly.
The bodyguard followed Sonny everywhere to ensure he didn't get in a fight, since he was well known to be violent and short-tempered.
Yep, they were like, he needs a bodyguard, not for him, but for everybody else.
We have Richard Chavez as Poncho. Richard Chavez, as I mentioned, he did fight in the Vietnam War before becoming an actor. He said that being in the jungle was an instant deja vu to him because he was in Vietnam. And I also wrote, poor guy, he got bitten by ants while he was
did
filming
he?
the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these were all guys that were in Vietnam, but he was actually in Vietnam. You know, the characters from Vietnam, the Vietnam War, but he was actually there. We have a familiar name here, Shane Black. He's got to start in movies here. He's done acting over the years. He's gone on to be a writer and a director in the industry. It says here, Shane Black hated the glasses he was given to wear as Hawkins. He wanted to wear authentic military issue ballistic glasses worn by actual troops in the field. But McTiernan wanted him to look as geeky as possible.
Yeah.
Shane Black was cast because John McTiernan and producer Joel Silver wanted a writer on the set. And he had a great manner, they said, the director stated. Briefly, in the beginning, we have R.G. Armstrong as General Phillips. And we're going to close out with the cast here, showing some love to Kevin Peter Hall.
Yep, that's the Predator.
Yeah. So Kevin Peter Hall, the Predator, is also visible without his Predator suit and makeup towards the end as one of the helicopter rescue crew.
I love that. I love when they do that, man. It's kind of like, no, we're going to make sure you're also seen without the makeup. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Kevin Peter Hall stated in an interview that his experience on the film wasn't a movie. It was a survival story for us all. For all of us. For example, in the scene where the Predator chases Dutch, the water was foul, stagnant, and full of leeches.
Oh, no. Yeah. I don't like that at all.
I know, right? So this is the one where a lot of folks may or may not know about this, but it's great movie trivia. Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally cast to play the Predator, and it was really odd because there was a different design.
Yes.
Plus, Van Damme is billed at 5'9",
Mm-hmm.
and Arnold and the team was anywhere between 6'2" and 6'5". So Kevin Peter Hall replaced him at 7'2".
It was it this is one of those things that when you hear it for the first time, you're like, that can't be true. That absolutely can't be true. And then not only is it true, you can find footage, you can find photos, and you see Jean-Claude Van Damme in the suit. And you can see it on his face too, that he does not want to be there. And to my understanding, Jean-Claude was excited because he was under the impression, whether it was said to him or not, I don't know. But he says he was under the impression that he was going to be able to go toe to toe with Arnold. They were going to be able to show his martial arts skills. This was going to be a big moment for Jean-Claude Van Damme to be in this type of a movie. Little did he know, he was never going to even be seen. He was going to be completely covered in a suit, and in no way, shape, or form were you ever going to be able to see Jean-Claude. And it's just one of those weird trivias where it's absolutely true. Like, the idea that Jean-Claude Van Damme, who we know, the Muscles from Brussels, one of my favorite action stars of all time, who was doing tons of movies, tons of martial arts movies, was essentially at one point or another going to be in Predator and faceless. You just would never even know. Just never even know. And I find that so crazy and bizarre.
Yeah, and the design was different too. This was when the movie
Very
was called
different.
Hunter. You know, they wanted the Predator to be more agile and like a ninja here. That's what, Van Damme brought to the
Yeah.
role, and it just wasn't working.
No,
So when he got recast, that's when Arnold said, "All right, let's redesign the costume."
yeah.
And they went to the man that was on the Terminator with him, and the rest is history as far as the redesign. If you can go online and Google it, it's so odd looking.
Yeah, it almost looks insect like, lizard and insect like. It's very weird, and it's like, it's, I don't want to crap on the design, but just in comparison to the design we ended up getting, like, it's not even close.
The movie doesn't become the movie if they went with the old design, plain and
Oh
simple.
no, yeah, it wouldn't. It wouldn't have worked nearly as good.
Yeah. The Predator is also made up by somebody else that does the voice,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Peter Cullen. For those of you that don't know who it is, that is the voice of Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
And he was reluctant to do it until they showed him what the Predator looked like, and they didn't want to show him. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Listen, I need to see what the creature looks like if you want me to provide something."
Yeah.
And he thought it resembled a dying horseshoe crab that he remembered as a kid when he flipped it over. And if you guys have ever seen the underside of a horseshoe crab,
Yeah.
it looks like that a little bit. He had injured his throat playing the title character of King Kong in 1976.
Okay.
He chose the vocalization of the clicks because it was easy on his voice. He was so injured from playing Kong, he was coughing up blood from playing that part.
Yeah.
So a true artist to his craft, one of the greatest voice actors of all time, just providing the voice of the Predator here. Great trivia. So we've talked about this movie. We've talked about a lot of aspects about it, trivia and so on. We're going to start closing out here. And The Predator is just one of those movies, and we've said this many times, where no matter how many sequels come out, it was just so hard to just match what happened with the first one. You come out swinging from the gate, and you tend to wonder. I like what ifs.
Okay.
And my thing is like, don't get me wrong, Predator 2, a lot of people like Predator 2.
Oh yeah, it definitely has a certain following.
Right. But you tend to wonder, what if Dutch came back? What if they brought Dutch back for Predator 2 or 3? I don't know. What if they brought Dutch back while Arnold was younger in a way to make this work again? But for whatever reason, Arnold kept saying no whenever they approached him. And, now we're in a situation. I think they do a callback. They talk about him in Predators, I want to say.
Yeah.
Where like he got radiation poisoning from the blast. So they kind of explain it a little bit. But we had a lot of movies over the years. was it Predator, Predator 2, Predators, The Predator.
The Predator by Shane Black himself.
Yes, yeah, The
Yeah.
Predator. We had the AVP movies.
AVP movies.
But it wasn't until Prey in
Yeah.
2022, Dan Trachtenberg, where this franchise just turned around again.
Yeah.
And it got people talking about the original Predator yet again. Every single time a Predator movie came out, it was like, yeah, but that first one though,
It's that lightning in a bottle, man, where the sequels would often have elements in them. Like Predator 2, I thought there was a really good moment at the end where, Danny Glover's character is on the ship and you see the skulls of the other aliens and you actually see a xenomorph skull. And it's like,
Right.
wait a minute. So, like, there's moments throughout the franchise that are kind of like, oh, like that's really cool. And I would love to explore that. And like you said, like I enjoy Predator 2, but obviously it's not even close to Predator 1. And it's like, oh, what would it have been like if Dutch had returned? What kind of story do we have with that? Him having the experience and coming into the sequel. But we got Danny Glover, and that's perfectly fine. But we've seen these movies for years and years and years, and I feel like they've gotten close at times, and it's just really hard to capture lightning in the bottle. Like Predators, like everyone had kind of missed that jungle dynamic, but they want to be different, so they're on another planet. They're on a hunting planet, and we have that jungle dynamic, and we have a team, but the team doesn't know one another, et cetera, et cetera. Prey was that movie that was the closest to Predator at its core. It was the closest, and it was still a different story. We essentially had our character who was trying to prove her worth, that she could be a hunter. She is much more than a gatherer. So we had that dynamic with a predator who needs to prove itself as a hunter. And we've got a new story, but the time period was amazing. Having the Native American culture was amazing. And just the characters utilizing their skill sets to take on the predator, the same way that Dutch had to go primitive in a way and go back to this old school way of dealing with it. And it was the closest, and it landed, dude. Prey landed so well. And to this day, I really wish I had theatrical, and I hope that we get a theatrical run for it soon, even though it's short. Just for the upcoming new movie that's coming out, I'm like, oh, can we get Prey in there for at least like a week or two? But yeah, Predator's lightning in a bottle. It's very hard to recapture that magic. We've seen it in numerous franchises and numerous IPs where you can have other movies that are just as good, but there's just something special about that first go around. And Predator is no stranger. It really, really is special.
Well, Dan Trachtenberg seems to have a great idea. He went for a period piece with Prey, essentially, and now it looks like that's the direction Predator is going in. The Predator, but in different,
time periods.
Time periods and eras. We have Predator, Killer of Killers, releasing on streaming. It's animated.
Can't wait for that. An anthology series. I cannot wait.
It's going to be June 6, 2025. And then later in 2025, we have Predator Badlands, which got a trailer as well, November 7th of 2025. And there's a little hint of the Alien franchise in there as well. We might be getting AVP again. We don't know. But either way, things are looking up for this franchise. But, we're not kidding ourselves here. There's nothing like the original.
It's goated, man.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. Because off the air, I was telling you, this is one of the GOATs. Action movies, one of the best of all time. Science fiction, one of the best of all time. Creature feature, one of the best of all time. Maybe not a traditional horror movie, but for some people, this is a horror movie.
Yeah. Some people might classify it sci-fi horror. It's got horror elements. Like there are moments. The quiet scenes and the scenes of fear among the team. Like you can feel it. So yeah, and I love that. I love that. There's a couple different ways that you can look at this movie, and it lands on each genre. Like that's so unique.
Yeah. When people ask me my favorite 80s movie, I say Predator.
It's hard to beat, man. It's very, very hard to beat.
There's a lot. You look at the Future movies, one of your favorites, your favorite movie, Ghostbusters. You know,
Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones,
there's
right? Like there's
right.
tons of them. The term, like, come on,
Couple Star Wars movies. Like
yeah,
there's a lot of love in the 80s.
yeah,
80s
in
was
the
like
'80s.
the blockbuster era, you know,
'80s had a
like
lot of phenomenal
a
films.
lot of incredible movies. But to me, it's my favorite 80s movie and
It's hard.
one of Arnold's best,
Yeah,
you know,
easily.
one of Arnold's best, you know, and it's my personal favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh,
For
and I totally believe it. Because
me.
if you like, Arnold's got a great filmography and a long filmography. And when you sit there and break it down, there's no way Predator is not in your top five. Like when it comes to Arnold films, it's definitely top five. I go back and forth between Terminator 2 and Predator, and just like blown away at both of those movies when it comes to Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the biggest action star of all time for many people. And when it comes to Predator, because it's so special, because it's so unique, and because we were seeing something different, like, let's be real, like, we were seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these tough
Yeah, there
characters
you go.
be afraid. Like, they were worried, they were afraid, they were getting beaten up, they were losing. And that is unique in itself. And to this day, we still have trouble seeing that. We still have certain action movies where certain action stars have to be seen in a certain light, or they got no losing clauses in their contracts and whatnot. This is at a time where action stars were at their peak, right? In the 80s and early 90s, action stars are in their peak, and we're watching and seeing something different. And major kudos for the writers and the director to say, hey, like, this is how I want to portray it. Like, I want to show the world just how BA you guys are, how tough you guys are, how unstoppable you guys are, and then we're going to break you down. And that's very different than what we were getting at the time, and it's going to stand the test of time. For that, it's just one of the reasons why it will.
Yeah, for me, it's unmatched as
Yeah,
far as its uniqueness,
yeah,
and we said 38 years. This movie's almost 40 years old,
yeah, dude.
and I don't get sick of it every time I
No.
watch it. It's great. I mean, are some of the effects dated? Of course,
Mhm.
some of the effects are dated, but those practical effects, though,
It looks.
you know, it it I want to give what's his name? Kevin Peter Hall.
Mhm.
I want to
Oh
give him
yeah,
some love because he's 7'2",
he's a big boy.
and that added to it
Mhm.
as far as making um, the design of the creature just so unique and different. And I like what you said because a lot of people, I imagine this film is studied by film students
I believe it.
because this is a snapshot of the 80s.
Mhm.
We got big explosions, we got big muscle bound men, we got guns, we've got it's an 80s action movie,
Yeah.
you know, but then it switches halfway through and it becomes this like horror movie, this mental psychological thriller almost.
Yeah.
And I like what you said because these are men that fought for our country. They're not scared, you
Yeah.
know, but this creature scares them. They're
Yeah.
fighting
Like,
for their lives.
even like within the story, these characters have seen war, they have seen death, they have seen things that many of us couldn't even imagine,
Mm.
and they're horrified. And again, it just shows the dynamic, and it puts the Predator on a certain level that we hadn't seen before. It's in movies like this, and the idea where you have a movie that is one thing and becomes another. You had mentioned at one point where the movie kind of gets quiet, and it's and not in a sense where the movie's boring or slow, but there's tension, there's anxiety, there's fear. And this is one of the first films that I can remember where we had that duality of a film, right? You think of movies now, or more recently, or years later, you think of movies like From Dusk Till Dawn, where it starts as a heist movie, bank robbers, and it becomes this horror vampire movie. It's like two different movies. And Predator is that first instance that I can remember as a kid watching a movie feel like one thing and then be something completely different, and gel together in a way that it works. And I wish we would see more movies do that. But it's so hard today with marketing, with trailers. This is one of those movies that if I ever find anyone who hasn't seen it, I'm like, oh, go in blind, man. But it's hard because now the Predator franchise is very big. So everyone knows what Predator is. Everyone knows, what it's essentially about, because it's so ingrained in pop culture. But if there was anybody who just somehow was living under a rock and never knew anything about Predator, I would absolutely show them just blind and just go for the ride, because it is just that. It's an amazing ride.
Yeah. All right. Folks, that was the Panel Bros official breakdown for Predator. If you could please give us a like, share, and subscribe at the Panel Bros on YouTube, we'd appreciate it. Those likes, shares, and subscribes help our reach. The better our reach, the more we can speak to all of you out there and continue growing the channel. Also, if you could please give us a comment below, letting us know how you felt about our breakdown, who your favorite characters were, and so on, and how you feel about this movie and where the Predator franchise is going. We'd appreciate that as well. And we didn't mention this earlier. Do you have a favorite character in this movie, Ricardo?
Oh, man, favorite character? Okay.
Yeah.
So, oh, man. Oh, it's hard because I have two reasons, or I should say two variables. Like, I think Dutch as a character is an incredible character. I think, again, I talked about his leadership. He cares for the team. He's not just some blind mercenary. But then, like, watching a performance, Mac's performance throughout this movie is so good. And he's the most, I think he's the character that goes through the most as a character, where he's going through the trauma, the loss of his brother Blain, and the monologue that he gives, and just down to like the quiet moments where it's just him and he's talking to himself. Unbelievable performance from Mac. So like as a character, I'm like, oh man, I really love the character of Dutch. But then Bill Duke's performance it hits so hard. And it's like, all right, so as a performer and as an actor, I go, oh, Bill Duke as Mac was incredible. And as a character, it's hard for me not to give it to Dutch, being as amazing as he is. Again, a pivotal moment is him kicking the gun away from Anna. Like, that was like, that's superhero stuff. He's like, no, you run, I'm gonna save you, you go. Like, he's such a good character.
Yeah, I go between Billy and Mac.
Oh,
yeah, Sonny Langdon is great, and also Bill Duke as
Bill Duke, man,
as Mac. But obviously, Dutch is just one of the greatest action characters of all time.
Yeah,
so,
it's so good, man. He's so good. Again, he could have been just, and we've seen those characters too. Like, if you think of a movie like Pitch Black with Riddick, like he's the bad guy, he's the villain. He doesn't care, and it's cool not to care, right? Like, it's cool not to care. But Dutch isn't that. Dutch is BA, but he cares. And he cares about civilians. He cares about hostages. He cares about doing the right thing. He can't be bought. They had to pretty much lie to get him to where he needed to be. And when this Predator was hunting them, he's like, okay, no, we need to work together. She's no longer a POW or whatever you want to call it. She's with us now. She's going to work with us. And we're going to do everything we can to protect her. Like, come on, man. Dutch is another goated character.
All righty. All right. Thanks for listening, folks. For Ricardo Segura, this is Anderson Marchak saying thank you for coming to the panel.